Setting the camera straight. Just waiting for Jonathan Katz right now. He should be jumping on here in a second. I'm going to be doing the interview with Jonathan Katz. What's up, guys? Super pumped about this interview, too. What's up? There he is. Wants to be in your video. Let's see. There he is.
Oh,
How's it going,
how's it
man?
going?
Good.
Sorry about what was it, Tuesday
Yeah,
night?
I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah, we were having some technical difficulties, but
It
this
happened.
is better because I get to see your
That's
face.
right. It's live, it's unedited. So it's good
Love it.
stuff, man. Good stuff. Thanks for
Next
being
time
here.
I'm in Texas, we gotta actually sit down and we'll do a podcast together.
Yes. Yeah. When are you coming back to Texas?
I don't know, but sometime soon. I like Texas.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah,
You live in New York, right?
yeah,
Yeah. There's definitely a change of pace.
yeah. It's very different.
Yeah.
I like different places. That's why I like traveling so much.
Yeah.
So different cultures, different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't have to wear a mask everywhere you went when you were in Texas,
That was interesting. In
right?
New York, they're like lowering the mask mandate in New York.
Yeah.
So like you'll see some people, but it was crazy to be able to walk into stores and not have to like be stressed out with the mask.
Nobody's giving you the evil eye, nothing like that.
No.
Yeah, my mother-in-law was just visiting this past week from Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
So she said the same thing. She was like, "Wow, like nobody wears a mask here." I'm like, "No, it's freedom."
Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Carry a gun, don't wear a mask.
What's that?
Carrying a
Yeah,
gun
that's
and
right.
not wearing a mask, you're
Yeah,
safe.
you can wear you.
Yeah.
That's right. Carry your gun, no mask. That's freedom. And we
Yeah.
love Texas, man.
Yeah.
So you got done traveling. You've been traveling quite a bit, right? For your seminar?
Yeah. I've been away every single weekend for the past few months.
Dude, that's
Um,
crazy.
Yeah, that was I was home with puppies for, like let's say 3 months. And so people wanted to book seminars, so I'm like pushing them off. And then as I start filling up, I'm like, I have trouble saying no when I already pushed it off, things we rescheduled. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And basically in 2 months, I think I was 7 different places giving seminars, and then I also went out to
Dude, that's
Utah and
crazy.
just Ohio. So it's
Yeah,
yeah.
because I kept seeing posts like, "Oh, Jonathan Katz giving a seminar here," and I'm like, "Oh, he's giving a seminar," and then like a week later, Jonathan Katz is doing a seminar here, and then I saw you
I'm
judging
just
a trial, and I'm like, "What the hell's happening here?" Jonathan Katz is freaking multiplying, freaking
I'm
every.
just I'm a prophet, right? So I'm just traveling, spreading the gospel.
Yeah, that's right.
You know.
That's right. Dude,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. Now,
Yeah.
while we're on that topic, one thing that I was curious about, like, obviously you do it because you like to teach, right?
Hmm.
You love to teach. Um, do you like the 'cause I think there's a couple of aspects to teaching, and it's probably the same answer. So like, do you like giving the information? Do you like that more than because another part of teaching is watching the progress, watching you know the the handler evolving right in front of you. And I think there's like those two, because I taught a Star Mark for 7 years, and I love to teach too. And there are
Yeah.
two components to that. It's one, you give the information, you see people are like paying attention, they're listening, who's checking out, and who's paying attention. right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So like that's one aspect of it, is giving the information. And another aspect too, which I think is equally important, is to like watch the transformation in front of you. Which one do you like a little bit better, or do you like them both the same?
I mean, I like them both, but watching people's like eyes, like watching light bulbs go off in people's heads. I like watching light bulbs going off in dogs' heads, but when you
Yeah,
can get the light bulb to go off in a trainer's and a handler's head, that's like,
yeah.
you know, I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. What's Derek's wife?
Live.
Liv.
Yeah.
Watching Liv's eyes like
Yes.
just explode with
Uh,
knowledge of, she's like, oh, and it was multiple times.
yeah, yeah,
And you know, if you've never been to one of my seminars, I clicker train
yeah. I
my
love
students
that.
with lollipops. So I was talking about how I was walking through Walmart at, you know, like 11 o'clock the day before the seminar, and I said, well, I need a way to basically convey the idea of give the dog what's going to motivate them,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
like it's the difference between, yes, food is life and dog needs food, so yes, dog will work for kibble, but you know, handful of happy howies, right? That's, you know, that's a higher value. So I was looking through the candy section, and I had these basic, you know, they're vegan, gluten free, you know, like kosher lollipops.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I went out and I bought they were candy apple, right? So it's a sour
yeah,
apple candy covered in caramel. And to see her face, like she's like, "What's that?"
yeah.
And I was like, "Ah, now I'm going to start paying you with something you perceive as more valuable, right?" And then we get to the point where people start offering me behaviors. I ask a
Yeah,
question and they go
I
answer it, or
noticed
they
that.
start explaining it, and that's what I want from the dog.
Hmm.
And you know, so if I can get that from the people, then they're the ones to convey it to the dog,
Hmm.
right? My job is to convey it to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, the teaching is really exciting to me. You know, meeting different people and seeing different problems. You know, a lot of my seminars turn into, you know, problem solving,
Hmm.
right? Like, how do I help you with like find more engagement, or you know, find the hole in your system so that you can go back to what you're doing. And but watching the light bulbs go off in people's minds,
Yeah.
like that's the most exciting. Like that's where my dopamine spike comes from.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
see people get excited about what I'm saying and they understand it, and then that gets me all excited. So
You know what I really got out of your seminar is I got
no,
two things. I mean, your seminar was full of awesome like golden nuggets those 2 days. But the two things that I really got out of your seminar that I really, really am grateful for is one, you helped me push a little bit farther than I'm used to. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like the directionals with the decoys. I started doing that, like I said, with the foot targets. And then doing it with the decoys. Yeah, that was an extension of what we had done, minus the decoys. But adding that distance where I was thinking to myself, because when you told me, all right, now go a little bit farther away, I remember thinking to myself, already, because I'm very thorough and very methodical in my training, right? So when you was like, no, go a little bit farther, um, and obviously I'm going to listen. You're the authority figure in that seminar. I'm there as a student, so I'm like, okay, I'll do it, right? I'll definitely do it. So I went, and it worked out well, and it just kind of helped me see from a different perspective, because I end up doing the same thing with my clients, I end up doing
mm-hmm.
the same thing with my students, but like
Yeah,
having you do it to me and pushing me past my comfort zone a little bit, it was really helpful. And it definitely allowed me to see that I can push more. I can be thorough, but I can also push more. So that was awesome. Thank you for that.
yeah.
Um,
It's a product of you being the training director and not having your own training director.
mhm.
So because you're such a methodical trainer, you're going on the like slow, steady, consistent
Yeah.
process to
Yeah.
only build success, which I totally get, which I respect, which in your situation, not having a training director, someone that's done more than you to be able to coach you, like you're on the right road. But I'm
Yeah.
watching you and I'm watching this methodical trainer, and I'm like, okay, I see the dog can do it. Okay, now we push it. Okay, now push it a little
Yeah.
more. I'll
Yeah.
never push it to the point where, think about it like a nerve threshold,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your nerve
Yeah.
threshold, like, okay, each time we're going to push it a little bit farther, never enough to where the dog falters, but just a little bit more each time, because you're staying in that like a little bit more of a comfortable zone because you're having success,
Yeah.
right? My
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
is to now go, oh, okay, take 2 steps, right? 2 more steps.
Yeah.
That's the kind of coach that you need. And again, like I totally can relate, not having had a coach. Like I have mentors and they taught me how to train dogs, but when it came to like learning PSA, I went to a lot of Jerry seminars. I went to
Mm-hmm.
Sean Siggins seminars. Like, these are amazing trainers and they were able to like give me tips and tricks on the sport, but I had to find my own road, you know?
And the thing is,
Uh,
like, it takes like, it's not, you didn't just go, all right, let's see what happens. Like,
no,
let's
no,
see
no,
what happens.
no, no, no.
It
Yeah,
was like
exactly.
very, very, I could tell like you knew exactly where I needed to be. You didn't go, okay, just keep going until, and we'll see what happens. It was no, go a little more. Okay, right there, stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it takes eye to be able to see that from their perspective. It's a really good perspective to have. Also to have trust in your mentor. Like, obviously, I trust you. You have achieved what I want to
Yeah.
achieve, and
Mm-hmm.
and you've achieved it more than twice. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, you did it like you tried it like 200 times and finally you got it. You've done it consistently more than
Yeah.
twice. So obviously it's a perspective that is very much appreciated. And like I said, it takes the right perspective to be able to say to somebody, go a little bit more past the level that you're comfortable with versus
Mm-hmm.
let's see what happens. You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
Yeah, let's see what
Yeah.
happens. A lot of people do that, and stuff like,
Yeah.
it's like a
I hate that
50-50.
term. That term, like, irks. If someone says that to me in training, that irks me,
Yeah.
because you're literally throwing. It's like, you're basically saying, Jesus, take the wheel, but Jesus doesn't want to be involved in your dog training,
That's right.
right? Like, that's like, you're driving down the highway and go like, if I take my hands off the wheel, like maybe it'll take this turn, but it might not. Like, I don't like that, if I'm saying like, okay, let's see what happens, it's because I already have a really good sense of what is going to happen,
Yeah.
right? My job is to not ever, just like we never set the dog up for failure,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, dogs need to make mistakes,
Of
just like
course.
humans need to make mistakes and learn, but we never set up for failure,
Right.
right? So never, the fact that you trusted in me to come and let me run your session, like, I'm never going to do anything that's going to lose that trust. If anything, I'm going to build on that trust so that when the next time we train, you're going to say, oh, okay, like, hey, he didn't set me up for failure last time. Like, we had success.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, even though you listened to me before, you trusted me before, now you're going to even trust me even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. The second biggest thing for me was also when you were talking to me from the club perspective, like the training director perspective. That really also stuck to me. Will, you're a nice guy. Don't be so
I
fucking
say you're
nice.
too nice. I didn't say you're a nice guy. You're too
You're too
fucking
nice.
nice.
Yeah. Don't be so fucking nice.
Yeah.
So I really like that too. It's it's a because yeah, like I am nice. I do hold my club members accountable. We do have standards. We do have rules. People do get kicked out, but at the same time, I like having somebody telling me, dude, like, you can be stern, right? Like, especially when you were telling us how you run your club, I was like, oh, damn, that's good. So
Yeah.
I'm not an asshole, you
No,
know, so
no, but
that it's good. It's good to have those standards like that.
again, think about the boat. The club is a ship, right? You're trying to go in everyone's trying to go in the same direction, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you have people that want to veer off, like, okay, you're veering off of the ship with a life raft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're really not, you have no engine, you're not going anywhere. So, like, when someone comes over to me and is like boasting about, like, I went out, he said, my training director told me, don't show your dog, you're not ready. And then he goes, I got a 19 and a half. And I'm like, dude, he literally told you you weren't ready, and you got the score that you were ready for. So, like, that, to me, that should be a light bulb moment in that handler to say, okay, I trust this guy, just like you trusted me,
Mm-hmm.
right? They should have that trust in you, because, as I said, like, do you want your dog to look like Will's dog, right? If you want that, then clearly he can guide you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's part of being stern is actually for the club members' own good, is
Yeah.
to help them,
Yeah.
right? Because it's so exciting. Dog sports is a lot of fun. And, like, but everyone wants to be on the field competing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's why we say, like, you have to enjoy the process. If you're not enjoying the process, then, like, go out, buy a title dog, and go and show that dog if that's what you want to do, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
But, you can't start with a puppy and then go, oh, okay, I'm gonna put, a quarter or an eighth of the amount of work in that dog needs, and then step out there. Like, you should have overtrained, right? Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
going for your PDC, like, you should have some behaviors of your one already,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't
Yeah.
necessarily need to have all those behaviors, but you should have a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm getting my dog ready for the ones, I have, like, a little bit of level 2 neutrality, but I'm not going crazy,
Yeah.
because what's the dog going to see in trial? Like, a guy sitting in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want the dog to be stimulated by, like, oh my God, 4 guys screaming and running in their face, when he's got to come out and just heel around some cones and sleeves on the ground and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But, like, okay, like, okay, for instance, I'll do this. My level 1 dog I down the dog in front of the decoy. The decoy should be able to stand up, walk around the dog, and sit back down.
Mm-hmm.
And in trial, and then throw like 4 or 6 items. In trial, they're not going to stand up. They're just going to throw 2 items and you're done, right? So that's like an overtraining situation. But, like, when people, under prepare and
Mm-hmm.
expect that they're going to get a different result, when your train director, who clearly cares about you,
Mm-hmm.
told you don't do it, right? So sometimes you have to let people have to learn their own lessons, right? People need to learn from their own failures, and that's okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But, it saddens me, because, like, I wish I was in when I'm coming up, I wish I was in your club and I had a training director that was so involved and cared so much, right? So, like, almost it
Mm-hmm.
comes from me. That talk I had with everyone is a little bit of jealousy. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I wish this was years ago, and I was coming up and I have my first Malinois puppy and I have Will to help me. You guys are all throwing that away,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's sometimes I'm like, I have to say something, because, as I said, like, I'm jealous. I want to train with Will every day, and you guys get to train with Will. So, like, don't
Thank you,
abuse
man. Appreciate
it.
it. Now, on the topic of preparing your dog for a little bit extra, here's one thing that I noticed. Okay, I've noticed it with different trials. I've noticed it with some of my club members and with other people too. Here's one thing that happens. See, in my club, I'm the only certified decoy, so I've been through trials as a decoy. I've been behind the scenes. And one thing that sometimes I hear handlers complain is when they go to a trial and they go, "Man, the decoy did this and they were not supposed to." But I always think to myself when I tell them this, decoys make mistakes.
Yeah.
You, like the scenario that you talked about, like you have your decoy that is sitting, stand up, walk around, and sit back down. Not that a blatant mistake like that might happen during your routine, but maybe while you're waiting, right? While you're waiting before you enter the field, maybe that decoy had to get up, have a drink, whatever, didn't notice, had to pick up the cans to reset, and your dog saw him, you can't go, well, crap, the decoy was not supposed to do that. He should have already been sitting. You have to account as a handler for things that might happen. Like one of the things that I like about the, like the French ring decoys that train Mondial ring dogs. In Mondial ring, they're not supposed to hit the dog, right?
Yep.
They're not supposed to like do these crazy schemes or anything. But I know when they train the French ring decoys, when they train Mondial ring dogs, they go, hit him. We're gonna hit that
Yeah.
dog, because
Yeah.
even though they're not supposed to, the decoy might make a mistake. The decoy might hit him.
What if, God forbid, it creates the stick creates contact? You know?
Exactly. Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
prepare for those things. Yeah. So no, really, I like that mentality of not quite prepare for the three, like you said in your seminar, not quite prepare for the three, and then start with your PDC. But there's nothing wrong with going a little bit extra, because those things can happen, right? It can happen. Decoys, they're human beings, whatever the case might be. I mean, it just happens. You see people get pissed off because they're like, oh man, the decoy should not have done that. At the end of the day, yes, decoys should not do certain things, and some mistakes can be pretty bad, and and we could even put a lot of drama into it and go, well, was it a mistake or not? But at the end of the day, you got to look at it and go, what part of that as a handler can I control? What part of that can I
Yeah.
prepare for? So good
Yeah.
point. That was an excellent point to bring that you brought up on that.
I mean, there's a difference between a decoy standing up to get a bottle of water and then like a decoy from the sideline, like running and screaming.
Right.
A decoy running and screaming when the dog's not supposed to be biting, like, hey, like I don't have, in my level 1 dog, I don't have that much neutrality, meaning like when a decoy runs out and screams, I want my dog to go,
Yeah.
because that's what's going to get me full points on my handler attack, on my courage test,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but like a decoy standing up, like to me, you should have that neutrality of that you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to lose your dog because for instance, what if the competitor before you is picking up their toys that they
Mm-hmm.
left on deck?
Mm-hmm.
Like that shouldn't affect your dog.
Right.
Again, we do PSA. There's balls on the field, there's tugs on the field, there's decoys running around and screaming. Like, unfortunately, sometimes in PSA, the line we use is like train harder, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
you didn't, your dog got a little bit out of control. Well, maybe you needed more neutrality,
Mm-hmm.
right? Go back to the drawing board. Humans are just that. We're humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Decoys are human. Dogs are dogs, right? Decoys make mistakes. Judges make mistakes. Handlers
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes. Like we all make mistakes. Okay. So, but when it comes to stepping on the field with that dog, you should be a little bit more prepared than what you're actually stepping out there for.
Yeah. Now,
So
one thing that you and I were talking a little bit, we started talking about this briefly last time we talked. And it could be a sensitive topic for some people, because I know people that do this. What do you suggest, or what are your thoughts on people that get off breeds, right? So breeds that you don't typically see excelling in PSA. You said a line, the way you said it was beautiful. So I want to hear it again so that the audience can also hear this. You said something along the lines of, love the sport or love the dogs. Could you expand on that for us?
yeah, it's train the dog you love or train for the sport you love. So, when I first started in PSA, I had a rescue pit bull. And I loved working that dog. And it just so happened that the dog, excelled in, suit work.
Mm-hmm.
And so, now, but then I said, okay, well, I'm not going to win anything with this dog, right? The story is the first time I showed the dog for a PDC, when I got to my critique, this is my first time showing in the sport ever.
Mm-hmm.
In the critique, the judge was Jerry. And
Mm-hmm.
in the critique, Jerry goes, and the award for the slowest down in PSA history
Oh
goes
shit.
to Jonathan and Snoopy. The slowest down, he literally was actively going into a down until I got to the cone.
No shit.
Okay. But then, so what did I say? I said to my mentor, my main mentor, I was like, what do I, he goes, well, the line is, if you want to win, you get a Malinois, right? So I had to find a breed that I loved because I really, I love training German Shepherds, but, personality wise, they just really, they weren't my dog, wasn't my
Mm-hmm.
kind of dog.
Yeah.
I love the bully breeds, the personality. I never forget I was in Triple Crown and I had opened up like it was a Dog Fancy or one of those like Dog World magazine, and they had an article on the Malinois. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, that's the most beautiful dog. It was just like a dog laying in a field and like a dog in a bark and hold in a blind. Like, and I'm like, these dogs are amazing. These dogs are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like infatuated with them ever since then. And I almost like ran to a rescue group in Texas to like, I want one right now. And I was told, hey, and it was the right thing. Hey, wait, you'll get the right dog. Um, and so, you know, like if you love your off breed and you want to do the sport with it, like that's awesome. But understand that at some point the dog is going to have some sort of limitations,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You just have to look at I'm a statistics guy, right? The
Yeah.
only pit bull to ever obtain a PSA 2 and to show in the threes is Dow Ritchie's Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, can you say, well, the pit bull guys are doing other sports? Like, okay, but there's been a lot of pit bulls to PSA 1, right? There has been a few that have attempted a 2, but I'll honestly tell you that I don't think anyone's hand raised a dog since Gabe for this sport,
Right.
a pit bull, right? So, and I have a few friends that like this is what they want to do. And because I love off breeds, I'm encouraging of it. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see it,
Mm-hmm.
right? At this point, anything to get a PSA 3 other than a Malinois is an off breed,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, like you could say, okay, Dutchies aren't an off breed, but like even a German Shepherd at this point is an off breed.
Yeah.
So if you're saying like I want a German Shepherd and I want to put a 3 on it, like okay, just understand that you're fighting already an up. Like it's hard enough with a Malinois,
Yeah, it is.
right?
For real, yeah.
But if you love the dog, just train the dog in front of you,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
like my pit bull, I loved working that dog and he was so much fun, but I understood that the most that dog ever got was a PDC, and he was like trained up for the 1, but circumstance happened and I never ended up showing him before I went overseas. So
Mm-hmm.
um but I love when I see people getting off breeds. Like you saw the doodle
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
uh
I
in
saw it. Yeah.
Utah.
Yeah.
I was like amazed because I'm like, I'm very hopeful, right? And
Yeah.
I always want to see everyone succeed. As a judge, like I want people to go out there and them and their dog to give the performance that they want. Doesn't always happen that way, but like you see this dog and I was like, oh, like this is really cool. And then we do the carjacking. Like, okay, the carjacking was cool. And then on the handler attack, I watched the dog launch. And I'm like, I'd never seen a doodle even bite a suit, let alone like launch like a Malinois. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like that I was like, yeah, like that made me so happy to see, because that's an off breed.
Yeah.
And like look at us celebrating this PDC
Yeah.
on this doodle. It's I said I'm like, I haven't heard of another one. This has to be a PSA first.
Mm-hmm.
This has to be the
Yeah.
first doodle titled
Yeah.
in PDC.
Yeah.
It has to be,
Yeah.
right? And just that in of itself is a huge accomplishment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So and then to like watch her, we had just in South Africa, a border collie got a
Yeah.
PSA 1.
I saw that.
Like that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's so cool. Like I love watching Malinois pass, but like also the off breeds. I root for the underdog, right?
Yeah. The
So
underdog.
the
Yeah.
off breeds are an underdog, so
Mm-hmm.
you know, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That was pretty cool, man. Now, one of my friends on Facebook, when I posted your, the event, he said one question he had is, what are your thoughts on, on prepping right before a trial? And I guess his concern is, he doesn't like to go hardcore right before a trial because you know how crazy Malinois can be. You know, I think his concern is maybe the dog potentially getting a little bit worn out, a little bit injured, a little bit sore. I know that's happened to me before, right before a trial, get ready to go to a trial, and my dog's limping because, you know, we had a session and he twisted a little bit off. So what do you do when you're getting ready to trial? Do you do like a lot of training right before, or do you kind of slow it down a bit and trust the process?
I'll be honest with you, I really don't change anything other than maybe getting an extra set or two in, the few weeks coming up. But
Mm-hmm.
you heard me say at the seminar, like, train like you trial and trial like you train. Like, when I step to the field Saturday morning of a trial, like, other than there being more people there, really, what's the difference for my dog?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't change anything. Nothing should change. The only thing is I just didn't reward or correct the dog on the field that day.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, nothing's really changed. So, I'm like now getting ready for regionals and nationals, usually like, for instance, I left to go to nationals last year. I left like a week before, and I stop at clubs along the road and train with my friends, get there a day early and do some training. Usually, like, from all my years of coaching people with shepherds, I tell them, like, rest the dog at least a day or two. Like, if you're okay with not doing open field, like, rest the dog the day before,
Mm-hmm.
or like rest the dog for 2 or 3 days, then do your open field, then trial Saturday, because they don't have energies like a Mal. Like, my Malinois will keep going. I can work them for 7 days straight. They'll wake up the eighth day, and maybe they'll be a little bit tired, but they sleep. Like, they can regain all their energy when they're not working. So my whole thing is, like, keep the dog calm, keep the dog relaxed in a calm, relaxing environment, and then the dog can recuperate, just like athletes,
Yeah.
right? The dogs are athletes. So, but like, the day before a big match, I might not work the dog out, or I'll go out and I'll come out to open field and just do a little bit of obedience, work on some jumps,
Mm-hmm.
honestly have fun with the dog. Usually I do so much prep getting ready for nationals. Like, right before I leave the island, I'll normally take my dogs, like, running on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I play chuck it with them, like, more like decompressing type, um, you know,
Yeah.
experiences, like, hey, like, control, 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 but also with the system that I'm running now, like, I'm not fighting control anymore. So, like, I'm not worried about that they're not going to listen to me, because, like, I possess the maker of dope, like, I possess the maker of dopamine, right?
Yeah.
And, like, that's all they want.
Yeah.
They want high, right? So, it's sometimes I like to just do something different with them, just like relax. Um, yeah, so yeah, I'm always worried about overworking the dog before a
Yeah.
trial, because, like, you want to have that best performance,
Mm-hmm.
like, not the day before, like the day of,
Yeah.
right? So, like, I try to keep that, like, not overwork the dog, not do too many things that, like, like too many jumps or anything that's going to basically stress the dog's body out too much. So yeah, I'm very careful. Again, also, this all depends on the individual dog,
Yeah.
right? A
Yeah.
dog that's more prone to injury, I'm going to be very careful about what I do with him before trial,
Yeah.
or her before trial, right? Thank God my two dogs are very healthy. I don't really worry. They were taught proper jumping techniques, so I'm not really worried about them injuring themselves and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, every, like, the prep up to, like, to get ready to compete is going to be a little bit different for each dog
Yeah.
and in each handler. You're trying to peak trial day,
Yeah.
right? So you're
Yeah.
trying to build upon momentum and success. But, like, unfortunately, that journey is different for every dog and every handler.
Mm-hmm.
Like Uzi, it used to take me anywhere from a half an hour to 45 minutes to get that dog ready to compete.
Mm.
And so people would be like, well, I don't have 45 minutes. And I go, yes, you do. When the level 2 dogs are on the field, you take them out and you tire them out for half an hour, and then you put them back in the truck. You cool them back down with the AC. Then you bring them back out. You do another 10 minutes, and then, okay, you got your 40 minutes in, right? Trust me, I figured out a way to get that. He just had to come on the field tired.
Mm-hmm.
He'd come on the field, he's, and I knew he would listen. Anything other than that, like the dog was a crackhead. He couldn't focus, right? Like stimulation, like all it meant was bite. But when you tired him out, you killed that edge, and okay, he's a little more relaxed,
Yeah.
you know? Cougar, I could pretty much just like open up the door to the van, be like, come on, good girl, let's go. And she would like, okay, she'll follow me to the field, and I could tell her to heel, and she would do all the things, you know? Puma, I need like 10 minutes or so just to kind of like work out the excitement and, you know?
Yeah.
So every dog is that individual. And as a coach, I love kind of figuring out that game plan and that kind of like that recipe for the handler, right? Following them be at trial. Okay, what does the dog need ahead of time? Does the dog need a few corrections before you step on the field? Just to like, hey, you're not paying attention, like focus on me. Or does the dog need a ton of rewards, right? You know, does the dog need to come out and just like be in a long down for like 5 minutes just to like look around and like get their eyes out? Or some dogs, you have to pull them out of the car and be like, hey, look at me right away. Don't look at anything else. Right? Every dog's going to be an individual in that aspect. So that's another fun part of the puzzle of competing. Like, hey, what does this dog need? You know, like my club members that have dogs that I bred, like I can tell them exactly what the dog needs because they're displaying their father's behavior or their grandfather's behavior or the mother's behavior. And I go, okay, don't let them do that, or like that's going to be wrong, right? You know, I had a gentleman come to, I was giving a decoy seminar, and I'll actually praise him. I'll give him a shout out. Is Sal from South Jersey. He has an Uzi grandson, and I'm giving the dog bites at my seminar, and once like dog phenomenal biter, I actually lent him my dog Uzi's harness, and I'm like looking down, taking bites from the dog. Like, look, he looks exactly like his grandfather, and I'm like, I'm almost tearing up a little bit. And when I slip him the sleeve, he's like, and I'm like, yo, like, you got to calm that down.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, is this bad? I go, trust me, this is going to come back and bite you in the ass when you're getting ready for your 2 and your 3. Like, the dog's not going to be able to chill. I said, he bites. We know he bites. He bites real good. He needs to learn how to calm down. And I just saw a video today of him has the dog in a treadmill, you know, working the dog up and then having the dog just calmly hold a pillow, right? Not flip out with it. And like, that made me so happy to see that, right?
Nice.
Even though I didn't breed the dog, my mentor bred the dog, but it's an Uzi grandson. And like, you know, Sal's a great guy and I want to see him succeed because that's also the lineage.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah.
So, you know, I like seeing that progress. I like seeing like, you know, hey, I sent someone home with homework. And even though they didn't tag me in the video, but, you know, I keep an eye, an ear to the ground looking, and I see the video pop up, and I'm like, man, it made me so excited to see that.
That's good. Now, another question that is very, you're talking about trialing, preparation for the trial. You know, obviously, at this stage, you don't get nervous when you step into a trial. If you do, probably not as much.
I mean, like, there's always going to be some sort of, I call it like nervous excitement.
Sure.
It's more of like, especially in the 3s, like, I don't know what's going to happen. So like, you'll watch me as the judge is setting up the field, I'll like pace and chain smoke because I'm like, it's almost like I feel a little bit like I'm getting ready for a fight.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to do, my adrenaline's going to start pumping, but my adrenaline can't pump yet because I have to retain the information from the handlers meeting. So I have to keep a methodical mind of, hey, okay, remember all this, right? Remember as much as you can. And then, okay, now when I go get my dog, okay, now adrenaline starts pumping more, right? Especially like nationals. Like, you know, you're getting ready outside the stadium, your music comes on, like, you know, that the feeling of stepping into the field in the stadium in Arkansas for obedience, I was a little bit nervous. For protection, I was like, you know, I was ready to roll, right? I was like, let's do this. Like, I know my dog is capable of doing every ridiculous thing that it was asked of. So like, I'm not nervous because I know my dog's going to perform. If anything, I'm nervous about how do I handle it, right? How do I break this down? Because the dog's just going to do what I tell her to do, right? And so like how many, like I robbed her this year, like last year, I could have gotten a leg in New Hampshire. I couldn't figure out one scenario. How do I send my dog back away from a decoy to go jump? And like, I couldn't figure it out. And then I took too long and like I messed up. The dog wasn't, but that wasn't her fault. That was all me. Right. So, yes, when you do something like I think I showed Uzi in PSA like 30 times. I think Cougar has like 20, 22 showings. And now with Puma, I might have like 18 or something like. So yeah, when you've been on the trial field almost 100 times, yes, that like nervousness does start to go away. Right. But I remember day one of like first time showing a dog, like I remember how nervous I was. So like, you can do a bunch of different things. You can meditate. You can convince yourself that you're just out in the park with your dog for the day and none of this actually really matters. And this is actually fun, right? And we're actually here having a good, because most people stress out like it's the SATs. And I'm like, this is like a volunteer, right? Like, that you should be having fun doing this. But,
Right.
performance anxiety gets the best of everyone, but,
Yeah.
time under tension, right? Time under tension. The more you do something, the better you get at it, the more comfortable you are feeling with it, and the less stressed you do. I would be lying to you if I told you that I don't get stressed out at all, right? It's more of like nervous excitement, but yes, there's stress involved. Like, I train my ass off for this. I want to do well, So as an experienced competitor, I can tell the newbies, like, yes, you're going to be nervous. It's fine. I'm still nervous. You just learn how to hide it.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Do you
I
get
agree.
nervous stepping on the field?
So my last trial, I was so chill. Like I was so comfortable. And here's the thing, prior to my last trial, right? And I failed too. Like I went onto it, but I had been meditating for like weeks prior to, and that helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
And when I went into the trial, I went in it with confidence. Like I'm like, I know my dog's gonna do well. And then I also told myself, if it doesn't do well, it's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I told myself that, and this past trial, I was so relaxed the entire time. Prior to that, I wasn't meditating,
Mm-hmm.
none of that. So I would get so nervous, right? But yeah, I think that made a difference to me is just meditating, and I'm a
Yeah.
huge believer in that. So,
And
um,
we all have our own ways of meditating.
mhm.
Like my meditation is actually with music,
Yeah, you were
right?
saying that, yeah.
Are like, like at nationals where they're going to play my song for me, that's my meditation.
Hmm.
At when I don't have, you'll see like you got your headphones in, right? Like I'll be walking around with my headphones in, listening to my song, listening to the song, and all it is like rhythm and repetition, right? I've tried like actual real meditation, but like the thoughts in my head don't stop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I know what you
So
mean.
like turn it off. So like that almost like stresses me out even more. But like music gets me to forget about everything in life,
Yeah,
right? If I'm listening to a song and I'm enjoying that song, I don't think about any worries in life. So like the girls, I just kind of pick whatever song at the moment is what I'm feeling about what I'm doing. Uzi had his own song. Uzi's song was Maroon 5, Moves
hmm
Like Jagger, right? And the mantra I would repeat to him and I'd repeat to myself was, I'd sing the song, right? I do a really good, I'm not going to sing for you, but I do a really good Christina Aguilera impression. But I just say to myself over and over again, I don't even try to control you. Just look into my eyes and I'll own you.
hmm
Right. And I just it was a mantra. And like, I always found a ton of success in it. It helped with my rhythm of walking and like walking with the dog and communicating with the dog and flowing with the dog, because realistically, like we're doing a variation of like dog dancing,
hmm
right? A very
hmm
militaristic style of dog dancing.
hmm
Go on YouTube and look up what some of these older women with golden retrievers are doing, and it's like fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah.
they'll and for the most part, they're doing it all with a clicker and food, right? Like this is all, you know, there's no compulsion in these
Hmm.
dogs, and look how these dogs perform,
Yeah.
you know? So, you know, like any sort of, you know, that kind of flow, and, you know, but everyone has their own. You can actually meditate. Like I meditate with music. Other people have other forms of meditation,
Hmm.
you know, but definitely meditation puts you in that mindset, in that zone to, you know, for what you're about to go out and do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. Music is one of them. There's a formal meditation. There's also listening to affirmations. You know, that's what I do a lot of
Mm-hmm.
too. Because what I like about affirmations is you don't have to like think. You do your own script, you push play, it could be your own voice, you put the headphones on and you're just listening the entire time. So
Yeah.
you know, all of those things definitely help out. Now, I have a question that um that is maybe a little bit sensitive, not too sensitive, honestly. Everybody's aware of it. How what are your thoughts on just drama when it comes to dog people? It's like dog people are just attract. I mean, maybe it's a people person, maybe it's a people issue, but like it's just it seems like you just can't have dog sports without drama. Do you notice that too?
Here's my whole thing is, it's part of it comes from competitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it comes from jealousy. So like I have people come to me and they're like, you know, how do I deal with these people? Like I went out there and I failed. And now people are making fun of me. And I go, well, those people that are making fun of you, I'd almost guarantee you they've never even stepped on a field. So you already have one up on them. Right. So, you know, I'm like halfway through. I was talking about the seminar, David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he says is no one that bullies anyone is confident. If you're bullying anyone, you're clearly not confident, because confident people only try to elevate people.
Mm-hmm.
Confident people don't try to bully other people. So, you know, when I was younger, you know, when I first started training dogs, there wasn't social media. We had like message boards, right? You know, so, you know, then like transverse, I'm sure you would agree with me, right? Then transversing, okay, well, now we have this like this wealth of knowledge, but now because of all that information out there, everyone is a dog trainer now, right? So now you just like the pool of people, right? Now I have 5,000 Facebook friends and they're all dog trainers, right? So when I was younger, I would argue with people on social media,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now I just like laugh and just put it away because it's not real life, right? And my whole thing is like you wanna say something about my training, like that's awesome. Go do more than me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like accomplish, like, you know, the stories that I've heard of like people talking about with Uzi is like, oh well, it took him all these times to get a 3. Like, okay, show me your 3 with less times, and then I'll bow down to you. But until then, like you're talking about something you've never even attempted to do. So, you know, failure is part of life. And but if someone wants to pick at your failure to use that for their own success, now also everyone's a fucking alpha, right? Like we're dealing with a very dominant community, and like I get that and I respect it, but it's all in like how do you work together harmoniously,
Right.
right? How can we vibe together? So like, you know, I have people that will like that I don't get along with, but I still show up to the trial and I shake hands and I'm nothing but smiles and I sit in the corner by myself and I donate something to the raffle, and like that's just like, you know, that's sportsmanship, right? That's just being the
Yeah.
bigger person, you know. So, you know, unfortunately everyone has to kind of find their own way into how they're gonna, you know, like into this world of dog sports or dog training in general. um you know, like I always try to encourage young trainers, young decoys, you know, young handlers, You know, like I always say when it comes to, let's say someone comes to you and they don't have the right dog for
Mm-hmm.
what they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they love that dog. So a lot of trainers lose those handlers by going, dog shit, get rid of it. Well, I love that dog, right? If you would have said it a different way, like, hey, this dog's not going to get you as far as you want to go, but you love this dog, you're not getting rid of this dog. But like, okay, well, you're going to learn and then let's get you the right dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a different
Mm-hmm.
story when encouraging people,
Yeah.
right? It's all in how you deliver it, you know? Are
Yeah.
you giving a shit sandwich or is it like, something good, covered in shit, right? So,
Yeah.
for me, I want to encourage the people, okay, this dog's not the right dog, but we'll get you the right dog because you're
Yeah.
the right handler, right?
That,
So,
yeah. No, I agree with you. I'd rather have, especially from a club dynamic, I'd rather have a good member with an okay dog, um, than an amazing dog with a just with a shitty member. You know what I mean? Just it
yeah,
doesn't benefit the club. It doesn't. It creates a toxic environment.
mhm.
So there's definitely that. I'll keep the person, and we'll wait for that person to have the right dog. We'll encourage that, because then once you have the right person with the right dog, man, you have an awesome team versus having an
Yeah,
awesome dog with a shitty person. You know?
yeah.
No,
No,
I agree with that.
the dog is a big part of the equation, but the person is the bigger part of the equation,
No,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
because I'm not like, when I go to club, that's my time off of work.
Yeah.
I trained professionally. When I go to club, I don't like no money. We take club dues, but that's so we can host events.
Hmm.
But like no, none of the club members pay me. When I'm out there coaching them, it's because I care about them and I want to see them succeed, and I'm genuinely doing it out of love and care,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
You know, but it's the people that I choose to keep around me,
Yeah.
right? The people that I choose to be in my club because it's people I care about. Like they could have the most awesome dog in the world, but if you're a piece of shit, I, I don't want to spend time. I won't. I don't even want to train with you on a professional level, let alone
On your time
like
off.
on a friendly level.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's all about getting together. Your club, getting together with your friends. That's what for me. I get together with my friends and I train my dogs.
Hmm.
Right. So you know, unfortunately, like this industry is a little bit of like it's either like sink or swim, unfortunately,
Hmm.
but you can find your own way to tread water and figure out how to then doggy paddle and like like you find your way into it. Unfortunately, we live in like an insta society, so
Hmm.
everything like, oh, okay, I do this and now I do it now and I do it 100%. It's like, okay, maybe ease into it a little bit,
Hmm.
right? Like maybe don't automatically tell people your opinion on the internet, right? Maybe go out there and get some more experience before so yeah, it's a hard topic. If I had a dog training school, I would definitely teach a class on social media,
That's
how
a
to
really good
interact,
point.
how to communicate with people, how you are perceived versus how you want people to perceive you, right? Like understand that if you're typing something, someone's going to screenshot it, right? So be
Hmm.
comfortable with everything you type, you know? So, that's like, and then you also have like dog training code of ethics, like unspoken rules, right? Like don't try to actively steal clients from another trainer,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
It's just kind of like hey, like if you called me up and said, oh well, I was training with this person, like, oh okay, that's great. I'm not gonna talk bad about that person. Or if I did an evaluation on someone and then someone went in and goes, well, how much did Jonathan quote you? Like, well, I'll lower that price. And I'm like, come on, like there's so many clients out there, like that's not needed.
Right. Yeah.
There's no reason to steal clients from other people because like if you're really good at what you do, you should just go out and get your own clients, right? I've
Hmm.
moved all around the place, and wherever I move, it usually takes me you know, a month or two before I have a steady clientele, right? Like steady work. Because I just go out there with my dogs. I go out, I meet people, you know, I'm a happy, friendly guy. You know, I'm good at what I do. Like, you know, training should sell itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the like being new to dog sports, definitely have to have a little bit of a thick skin. And remind
Yeah.
yourself, right? Remind yourself that ask the question, the person that is making fun of you, the person that's picking on you, have they done what you want to do with your dog? I'll guarantee you 9 times out of 10, these people haven't done shit. Right? You know, it's my buddy Marquise is I'm doing schutzen is you ain't done shit, son.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
like me, what do I try to do? I try to like keep my head down and grind it out, right? Like keep my head down and go out and just title my dogs, right? Prove the system that I've created, that I put together, and like then go out and teach it.
Hmm.
You know, like, but you have to choose your own interactions with how you're going to interact with social media and what you're going to put out there. You know, like putting out, how much of your life do you put out, right? You put out as much as you feel that, you know, like as much as you feel that will help people, or like that you want to see people to see that, you know, like how, like your personality and how you are as a person. um you know, but like I don't want to live with a camera next to my, like filming me at all times,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
You know, like when I give seminars, I don't allow people to video my lecture, right? But like when you're coming out to work your own dog, like for shit, sure, you can video that session and you'll listen to everything I'm telling you because that's your session, right? You
Hmm.
know, you're just not going to record my lecture and then, you know, go and like put, you know, like that's just not going to happen. But
Yeah.
you know, like for shit, sure, I want people to be able to video their sessions, right? It made me so happy you made a compilation video
Hmm.
of me helping you with your dog.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that made me so happy to see that, because like look at, you can literally see the progression of him and his dog, like working on behaviors, and you know, like the
Yeah.
handler and the dog are awesome. Like let me show them something really cool that now they can go back and work on, right?
Hmm.
And then watching
Yeah.
your decoys go like, oh shit, like this is cool of how we help, you know, how we help
Yeah.
Will with his dog, because they're not just guys in a suit, they're trainers,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
the difference between like, hey, are we just going to sit here and just like, Will tell us what to do, or we're an active role, right? We're an active part of this training because they are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Any so you mentioned school, if you had a school, is that anything that is in the works? Is that something you're kind of aiming
Um,
at?
may- Maybe one day.
I gotcha.
Right now I'm just I love traveling,
Yeah.
even though it's really tiring. But like I love traveling and going to new places and meeting new people. So yeah, like I just set up. I'm doing a week-long course in California.
I saw that. Yeah. So you
Okay.
posted.
And like that's so exciting for me to, it's very rare that I get to work with like a lot of upper level handlers on a regular basis. So like if I can get all these guys, you know, these men and women with their dogs together, and we can all learn through each other, and then I have my dogs there to demo. So
Hmm.
anything I'm going to teach you, I've done it with my dog, right? I can
Hmm.
demonstrate it with my dog and show people how to break down teaching all these pictures. So like you don't have to go out there onto the field going, I don't know if my dog's seen that, you know, even if your dog hasn't seen that, but you go, hey, I have a way to work through this,
Yeah.
right? I have
Yeah.
I have skills in my dog and behaviors in my dog that I've generalized enough that this picture kind of looks like another picture I once showed, right? And now I can
Hmm.
work my dog through it. So, you know, normally I'm in a place for 2 or 3 days. I teach and I leave, right? Like I do courses here, but you know, private. People come to me, they'll spend a week with me, you
Hmm.
know, and so, and we get a lot done in that time because it's all about progression, working the dog a few times a day, you know, like multiple days in a row, you know, 2, 3 times a day for 7 days, like that's 21 sessions of progression of a behavior,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, that's what I'm like really excited for. I'm driving there. I'm competing out in California the weekend before. And so I'm like excited to like go and, it's at an 1,800-acre facility where they train special forces dogs. Like,
That's awesome, dude.
this is a core. I do things that I would want to do.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. I would want to go to.
yeah,
And like, if someone's giving this, like, I would want to be there because I want to learn this stuff, because I want to be good.
yeah,
Like I want to achieve what my goals are.
yeah.
Right. And if you can tell me how to do it a little bit easier, like a little bit quicker, I don't have to learn it on my own. Like, hell, I'm going to take any advice in life that I can.
Mm-hmm. Now, to close the interview, what's one thing that you would advise to all sport handlers, whether they're PSA handlers or competitors, or maybe Schutzen, French ring, Mondial ring? What's one thing that throughout your traveling and all your seminars, you see people? What mistake do you consistently see that you could just tell them, hey guys, if you had to pick one word of advice, what would you tell them? I know it's kind of a very open-ended, very broad question.
Yeah, it's kind of a broad. I mean, like the one I travel the country, and the one like I was talking about at the seminar, the one quadrant that I see underutilized is negative reinforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's throughout all sports, right? Like all dog training, I see people go from positive reinforcement to positive punishment, and there's like a huge aspect in the middle that needs to be taught, is like, how do you thrive through pressure, right? How do you learn to succeed through pressure? How do you turn pressure off, right? Because life is going to be stressful, and if you learn how to control and how to deal with your stress, then you're ultimately in control.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If I could give a like gross broad to everyone, like, train more, work more reps. Like everyone rushes, like everyone's always rushing. Like, show the dog when the dog's ready. Don't, just because you want to be out on the field, that's amazing, but like set yourself and your dog up for success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
And that's
yeah,
a good piece of advice.
yeah.
It's good
I like,
stuff.
sometimes it's hard to give specifics on, broad questions, but yeah,
Yeah.
just do there's a guy, is a film director, motivational speaker. His name is Casey Neistat.
Okay.
You ever heard of him?
No, I'm
Go
gonna
go
write it down though.
his saying is do more, right? I like that more than the no one cares, work harder, right? I prefer the do more,
Yeah.
right? Just do more, okay? Because the more you do, the more you're going to be successful. Like, it's never going to hurt to do an extra rep. Everyone thinks that these things happen overnight, but it's not like programming a computer. It's a dog. It's a
Mm-hmm.
living, breathing thing. It eats its own poop, right? Like like it's an animal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And don't get mad at the dog for not doing what you didn't teach them how to do, right? That's like, if you ask me, like, what would be like something that irks me, is people blaming the dog when they didn't train the dog properly. And like, that really pisses me off, because I love dogs, and you didn't teach that dog. If you taught him, he would have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
People will say, oh, my dog knows this. And I'll say, well, show it to me. And then the dog doesn't do it. I go, well, the dog doesn't know it. And they're like, but they know it over there. Okay. But so then they need to learn context, but they don't know it. Because if they knew it, like, to me, knowing it is a generalized behavior. I can tell you my dog how to sit, and any place I bring that dog on any surface, if I tell the dog to sit, the dog will sit. That dog knows how to sit. Right.
Yeah.
but you know, it's to what extent, like how many fields did you get your dog onto? How many times have you traveled to train with other clubs, right? And get in front of different decoys, you know? Like, yeah, your club is important because like that's your family, right? That's what gets you like to where you need to go. But ultimately, like when you turn a certain age, you have to go out and make your own friends and, you know, make your own family. And, you know, like you got to get your dog out there and get the dog to see more. And, you know, as I
Mm-hmm.
said, like train harder so that when you go to trial is easy,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So it's the same thing in any aspect of dog training. You know, whatever you want your dog to be able to do, like train the dog harder, and then everything else is easy. You
I
know,
mean, life in
your dog
general.
to yeah, that's just life in general. Yeah, for sure,
Yeah, yeah.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks
Oh, my
for
pleasure.
giving us
I
your
enjoy
time. That
talking
was
to
awesome.
you. We're gonna
It was
do
great.
again. We'll do one day. You're turning this into a podcast.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on
Okay.
YouTube. I'm gonna put it on Instagram,
Hell yeah.
podcast, everything. Thank you, man. I
Nice.
appreciate it.
My
And we'll have to do
pleasure.
this
Hopefully,
again.
for sure.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Take care. Bye.